recording. So let me repeat again. Sorry that I'm sounding like this, but I'm a bit sick this week. So yeah, let's jump into VWAP first. So going into yearly VWAP, last week we had this massive rejection and this massive week, which eventually we felt like the whole week, right? So it will be quite important what will happen here, right? Because this right here could be a sweep of liquidity. Bye bye, Richard. Sweep of liquidity. If we start trading back below yearly value high, we will simply have a rotation lower, right? So the bear scenario is this one. The bull scenario is a clean break above, retest, and eventually trade higher towards, at least in my opinion, 120k. We will add some conclusions into that level. But structurally, it's like you got a pretty decent order block up here, right? In like a POI. So yeah, it's pretty clean. Let's jump into the quarterly VWAP. In the quarterly, it's too early to use it because like it's the first month of the quarter, but we have some pretty decent rotations within the quarterly value, right? Pretty decent rotations, rejection below, right? Now, based on the quarterly, we can see developing quarterly VWAP and previous quarter VWAP levels overlapping, right? So, as long as we're holding above 114k, 114, 115k, it's a pretty solid long and clean strength for higher, right? Because up here, we want to see momentum. So, we could be going back to 118k, which is previous quarter value high, and potentially even higher towards 120. The bear scenario would be like this is like a sweep, right? And to start trading below, retest into these levels, potential move lower. I don't think we will get a bounce down into previous quarter value low this time. So yeah, all eyes on 114k at 114k for now. Let's go into the monthly, which is the most important in my opinion for now. As we can see, again, much cleaner rotations compared to the quarterly. 114k probably gets front run. Yeah, we will talk about. So yeah, pretty decent rotations. Also with the developing value coming in. Now we're into value high of the monthly value, right? Of the previous monthly value, and we're setting into as well the developing VWAP. So if we keep on holding above 114k, again levels are aligning. 114k, break above 116, hold above 116. This is a pretty solid trigger for a continuation higher, right? Only after the break of 116k, after the break above these highs, basically. And you want to see price holding lows, right? This is the play for now, because as Hawkeye is saying, a lot of people are eyeing 114k. I don't know about the CME gap. Where's the CME gap? Oh shit, we got a pretty large CME gap. I don't think we're gonna be tagging it. Let me take a look at the CME. BTC. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be tagging it because you can see in other cases we're having like something called a breakaway gap, right? But again, if we tag it, okay, I don't know, we have other levels to um, aligning here to justify a bounce around these levels. So for now, I think it will be acting as a breakaway gap, right? You don't want to see in strong trend to trade back into the CME as it happened here, basically. So back into the VWAP. Now, bull scenario is bounce of 114k, accept above 116 for a move towards 120. Bear scenario is basically on the monthly, it's pretty hard to play a short right here, only if you got like a decent lower time frame breakdown. But as Hawkeye is saying, a lot of shorts are piling in here. So they all, I've seen on my timeline, they all targeting the same gap, which is basically down to 110k, 110, 111k, whatever that is. So we have monthly value playing a much better levels to trade around, right? So break away, break above monthly value high for a potential move towards 120. Keep on breaking down below 116k, and we could get a rotation back to monthly value area low, right? So yeah, let's go now into the weekly, which offered some pretty clean trades. Past week, right? We did have value high sitting right here and value low, oops, sitting right here. So past week we talked about, we opened up here, we talked about being rotational, right? Pretty clean rotations within weekly value. And previous week we were aligning as well along with the developing value, right? We did have some pretty clean trades, pretty clean slow grind up here. I talked about that if we don't get a breakdown below these lows, there's no reason to short, right? You could get a scalp here though for an intraday move, but again, this was on CPI as well, so yeah, no breakdown, no short. That's pretty simple trade. Also slow grinding above developing value high, pretty solid trade back to previous week value high from value low. Simply rotations, right? Now, I won't take into consideration previous week value for now because we're too far away from it, but we have seen in the past when we're opening up that far away from previous week value to come back and retest it at some point within the week. So yeah, only this I would say about the weekly value, nothing else. And of course, as long as we're trending above it, we are pretty much in a trending environment, right? No reason to look for rotations. Now, let's get into actual for TPO. Starting off with the weekly TPO. Let me expand clusters. Okay, so we've seen price trading back. Price trading back the previous 7-week value low, which is sitting at 104k basically. If you want to take a look at it, this value right here, let me merge this value right here, right? Pretty solid rotations, pretty solid rotation as well. This was basically the level to bounce from, price to bounce from. And now, as you can see, we have formed a 2-week composite, right? If we merge this week and this week, you can see the 2 weeks overlapping. Let's merge them, merge TPO, and we have a pretty solid 2-week value to play around. Now, I think we are trading basically above it, right? So we're expanding unless we get like a breakdown below, retest for rotational move, right? So as long as we're trading above the 2-week value, basically 114, 113k, we're trending. Now, what is the level we're trending into? This 5-week composite. So let me merge these 5 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these 5 weeks merged give us a pretty solid composite to play around, right? So if price, the last time we just sliced through it, right? So now, if price starts slow grinding into the level, accepts above, it's a pretty clean long for a 4k move, right? From 116k towards 120. Pretty fucking solid. And if I okay, if I bring this up, we do have also an NPO sitting at 121k, 121.3. So in efficiency, that should get filled, right? Pretty solid play right here. Of course, the rejection is bearish, but we can get a trigger down into 2-week value right here. So yeah, pretty similar rotations on the weekly value as well. And let's go now into the daily. Into the daily, we did have, of course, we do have some NPOC sitting for above, some inefficiencies. I won't dive deep into them. But here we did have some solid plays, right? On the 5-day composite that we have formed here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, right? So, yeah. So, pretty solid rotation from value area low towards value area high. Accepted above, and we're expanding higher, right? Pretty simple. Not much to talk about the daily profile in terms of this week's expectancy. We do have into 113k and an inefficiency, right? Of course, we have some poor lows lower, but the whole thing about this NPOC is that it is within the 5-day value high, the composite 5-day value high, right? So bounce of here is a pretty solid trigger for expansion higher. So bringing everything together into one chart, we do have some solid levels in place right here. Two main plays in my opinion for this week. First play, 3 plays actually. First play being a long into 113, 114k, this breakaway gap basically, right? Into a reclaim of 115k basically, right? Into the reclaim of previous month value high, previous quarter VWAP for a solid move higher. The second long I'm looking at is a potential acceptance above 5-week value low, retracement back into it for a move towards 5-week value high. That's simple. Now, the only shorts I would take would be into a breakdown or a breakdown below 2-week value high in previous month VWAP, or a distribution forming up here. What would be a distribution? Some sort of structure being built, then breaking down below the levels for a whole retracement of this move. That's pretty much it for this week. Here on the bubbles I do have the triggers for these trades. Let me mark this one as well after the breakout structure, right? So pretty simple levels to trade around. That's pretty much it, guys. I'll stop the recording and jump into questions.